as the Senator indicated, my name is Alicia Borns, and I am the Outreach Services Director at Equinox in Albany, New York. Equinox is a nonprofit community organization serving victims of domestic violence and their children, adults and families living with mental illness, adults and adolescents with chemical dependency, and homeless youth and at-risk teens. Equinox's domestic violence program is a comprehensive program providing emergency shelter, advocacy within the family court, criminal court, and other systems, and one-on-one group counseling for victims of domestic violence and their children. In 2011, Equinox sheltered over 250 adult and child victims of domestic violence and assisted 380 victims in securing safe housing. Equinox operates a transitional housing program to assist victims' efforts to find safe and affordable housing. Our experience has demonstrated time and time again that access to safe and affordable housing is absolutely critical to assuring long-term stability and breaking what can become a cycle of violence for victims who cannot find or sustain housing. I'd like to tell you about a recent client who experienced discrimination by an Albany landlord when she and her 2 children were fleeing from her abuser. In their case, the abuser forced his way into her apartment, caused extensive property damage, and proceeded to strangle her while the children were present. Police were called, charges were filed, and the court ordered an order of protection. The abuser proceeded to violate the order of protection, and after assessing options for safety with our transitional housing case manager, the victim decided it would be best for her and her children if they relocated to a new apartment. They succeeded in finding a new apartment, and plans were put in motion for that move. However, when the property manager at the new location checked with the victim's previous landlord for a reference, they decided to deny her, based on the fact that she and her children are victims of domestic violence. Despite the repeated efforts of our case manager to explain the situation to the new management and to reinforce that her and her children are the victims in this scenario, that they are a victim of crime, they denied the new apartment. Why should she and her children be further victimized by landlords and property managers? This is one of many examples of housing discrimination that we see victims contend with when they are attempting to rebuild their lives. So the next time you hear someone question or criticize a victim of domestic violence for staying with the abuser, or you hear them saying things like, why doesn't she just leave? Why didn't she call the police? Or why isn't she protecting the children? We need to remember the many barriers that they face. We need to remember that oftentimes victims end up being re-victimized simply because they are victims. And the real question is, what can we do to help victims when they attempt to break free from their abuse? One thing we can do is recognize the very real problem of housing-based discrimination and pass a law to prohibit it. The anti-discrimination housing legislation currently pending in the state Senate will protect victims of domestic violence by eliminating a significant barrier to finding safety and security. And we appreciate the efforts of the Senate to make this happen. Thank you for your opportunity to speak today.